Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to Planet Marzipan, the Fish and Marillion podcast. I'm Mezza, and here's my mate.
Craig Houston.
Hello, and welcome to Planet Marzipan. I'm Mezza, and I'm here with my good friend
Craig.
We have guests. We have more guests for you. We're spoiling you, listeners. We're really pleased to be joined by Martin from StillMarillion.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Hi, Martin. Hey, we're really good, thanks. How are you?
I'm tip-top, thanks. I'm really good.
I'm not even going to attempt your surname because I'll get it wrong. How do you
No,
pronounce
well,
your surname, Martin?
Exactly as you spell it. It's
Okay.
not one of those strange ones that's got a strange pronunciation. So, Jakubski, exactly
Okay.
as you spell it.
Okay, so Martin's joining us today to talk about StillMarillion and whatever else comes up. But because it's his first time on the pod, we get to ask him the golden question. How did you hear about the band?
So, the short version is that I was first aware of them with the big hit singles from Misplaced. To be honest with you, it was Kaylee and Lavender and Heart of Lothian. That was my gateway, and I had an older cousin who was just about 2 years older than me, and I was up in his house one night, and he had some Marillion albums, and I went, "Oh, that's that band Marillion," and he said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and I said, "What's the album that's got Kaylee and Lavender on it?" And he played me Misplaced Childhood, and you know, I know it's a cliche, but I was literally bowled over by it. I was like, "This is life changing." So, but I didn't hear it in '85. I heard it. It would probably been in '86 when I first heard the album. And that
How
was
old
it.
were
Then
you
I
at
had,
that? How old were you at that point?
so in '86 I would have been coming up on 14.
Right, right.
Coming up on 14. I know I look much older, John. It's okay.
No. It's the screen, Martin. It's the screen. And what other stuff were you listening to around that time?
My big passion at that point in time, Queen were my number one
Yeah,
band.
yeah.
They were my first love musically. First band I properly got into, and but they still are. I mean, they still are. I still love
Yeah.
Queen, but
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of guys our age, like 50, 51, 52, who Queen were their first love, and they're one of my first loves. Yeah.
totally. It was my mum. My mum played Queen at home, and that's how I got in. She played Queen and Simon and Garfunkel and Don McLean's American Pie album. Funnily
Right.
enough,
Yeah.
which is another one that she played a lot at home. So they were the stuff that I kind of grew up listening to. So
Yeah.
that was me hooked.
So when did you first see Marillion live?
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to see them with Fish.
Okay.
So the cousin that got me into the band, obviously Clutching at Straws was my first new album that came out, which I bought, on release. And they were playing the Edinburgh Playhouse. And he said to me, "I'll sort tickets out for it." I left it to him, assuming that he would sort it out. And then as the gigs came up, I said to him, "Looking forward to going to see Marillion," and he went, "What do you mean?" I said, "Oh, you were sorting out tickets for us." And then he went, "Ah," and he'd forgotten all about it. And
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
the gigs were sold out.
Yeah.
And of course, like probably everybody did at the time, I thought, "That's all right. I'll see them in the next tour." And there wasn't a next
No.
time to see them. I missed the boat. So the first tour I saw them on was actually Holidays in Eden.
Okay. And where was that?
And the reason for that is, and again, you may laugh or you may not, when they played Glasgow on the Season's End tour, Alice Cooper was playing the night after them in Glasgow. And at that time, I mean, I wasn't working at that time. And I had to make a judgment call financially at the time, and thought I could only afford to buy tickets for one of the gigs. And I thought, I don't know when Alice is going to be back, but I'm pretty sure I'll get another chance to see Marillion. So I bought a ticket to see Alice Cooper.
Fair enough.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah,
Obviously, looking back now, I'm kicking myself. Alice was great, by the way. I'm not going to lie.
I bet he was. Yeah.
Well, that was his big comeback tour. That was off the back of Poison,
Yeah.
and
All right.
so it was it was a massive comeback.
That was a good album.
He was great. He was great. But I do obviously regret not seeing the Season's End tour for obvious reasons.
And have you seen the band every tour since then?
Pretty much, I saw them on every tour where they've played in Scotland. There was a period where between 97 and 2004 where they didn't play up here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that or not. I'm sure you do, but
Yeah.
the Strange Engines tour, they actually weren't planning to play in Scotland, but at the last minute, and I think it was due to a bit of a pressure campaign from fans, they decided to put a gig in. And I always remember turning up because it was the first night of the tour.
Right.
I remember turning up and seeing that the Glasgow date wasn't on the tour t-shirts. It wasn't even on the t-shirts, so it was definitely shoehorned in.
Yeah.
And the thing that I remember specifically about that gig was because where I was standing was next to the desk, and I could see the set list. And I looked at the set list and realised that it was the first time I'd seen them where they played no Fish era material at all, and I thought this is a bit of a turning point.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, yeah. I mean, and so it should be.
Yeah.
But so I didn't see them between 97 and 2004. So I didn't see them in Radiation.com and Anorak. I know there were UK dates, but they just didn't work out for me, like work wise and stuff like that. So
yeah.
And then Marbles was the next time that I saw them in Glasgow. A triumphant return to Glasgow.
Yeah, it was the Barrowlands, that one, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was the Barrowlands. That was a great gig. And they were absolutely on fire. It was so good to see them, flying like that again. And it was really busy. It was a really busy gig as well. And they were absolutely brilliant.
They were certainly rejuvenated around the Marbles era, weren't they? Fantastic double album, single in the charts, artistically and creatively sort of back on the up. It was a really good period.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant gig.
Starting back to your first gig, I take it that was the Edinburgh Playhouse gig on holidays.
Edinburgh Playhouse gig. That was an incredible gig. If you look at the set list for that gig.
That was my first gig.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, Edinburgh Playhouse. That was my first gig. And we were in the stalls and we were off to stage right. And we weren't that far away from Fisher's band who were there. And
right, okay.
It was odd because there was me and Mikey and Claire, my girlfriend at the time, and you're watching the stage and you're just looking to your side going, is that me? It is.
I was in the stalls as well at the Playhouse. Yeah, me and my missus. We were there in the stalls. It was a great gig. I mean, they were really properly on it. Brilliant set list as well.
It was a good gig. Definitely a good gig to start.
I think so.
Well, clearly it worked, didn't it? Because you're both still here, so
100%. Listen, I'll be honest, and I have actually told the gaffer this as well. I'm not going to pretend and say that I've loved every single album that they've released because they lost me a little bit with Happiness.
Okay.
I really struggled with Happiness. I don't know why. I just didn't connect. With it.
Yeah.
Just you can't love everything.
We should get you on to review it when we do it. Seriously. Seriously.
No, I'd be more than happy to do so. I don't know what it is. I just couldn't connect. The first disc, there's some stuff on there that I like This Train, and I really like the title track. But the second disc, the Hard Shoulder, I really, really struggle with that, and I keep going back and playing it again, and I just something about it just doesn't click with me. So
no, I think there's quite a few fans I've spoken to have a similar view of it. I love both discs. I have to say they're very different albums for me, but I like the variety. There's some stuff on the Hard Shoulder, Older Than Me. Oh, love that track.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Especially true. Some great stuff on there. But hey, it's your opinion, and everything's valid. Everything's valid. It's music, isn't it?
And it's like we mentioned on a few podcasts ago, where you go and see them and you enjoy everything from they can play Gaza at the start of a gig, and then they can go straight into something no one can next to it. And there's such a
they're polar opposites musically and thematically and lyrically.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, isn't it? That's what they've always said, is that each album is a reaction to what they did before, and I think that's the magical thing about Marillion, is that they don't repeat themselves, and they never have done. Unlike a lot of bands that have been around for as long as they have, a lot of bands find a formula and kind of think, all right, okay, that's what's working for us, so we'll keep going with it. But they always stay true to their convictions, and that's massively to be admired and applauded, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're here as a fan, but you're also here in your capacity as lead vocalist of StillMarillion. So
I am.
some of our listeners will have seen you a lot, and some might never have seen you at all. So if I were to ask you to sort of sell it to the guys and girls that haven't seen StillMarillion, what would you expect from a StillMarillion gig?
So the aim of StillMarillion is to pretty much try and capture the energy of those kind of 80s shows. So we are primarily known for playing the Fish era material. We have in recent years, as people who've come to see us will know, we've occasionally played special shows where we've kind of dipped into the early H era material, and in fact this year at most of our shows we'll be doing maybe one or two tracks from Fish's Vigil album as well, almost as a tip of the hat to him because he's retiring. Thought it might be quite nice, but we're known for playing the Fish era stuff, and I think the best thing I can say about our gigs is that it's meant to be a party. It's a two-way thing. We feed off the audience, and I think one of the other things that people like about us is that we don't take ourselves seriously in any way, shape, or form.
Definitely not.
We're always poking fun at each other on stage. Yeah. We're serious about the music, but we're not standing up there pretending to be Marillion, because for a start, I think I'm on a hiding to nothing for that one. And it's not a look-alike thing. It's in fact, it's probably not even a sound-alike thing for me. I try to stay true to Fish's vocal melodies and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to stand up there and try and impersonate him because there's only one of him.
Yeah, and you built up a real following, I think. Now, how long's the band been going in its current form?
2008 we started in,
right.
And so here we find ourselves in our 16th year, which is almost unheard of for for bands in general. Never mind a tribute band.
Yeah.
So here we are in 2024, and we still haven't killed each other yet. So that's always a good sign, and it's very important the chemistry on a personal level, because as you probably know, we spend a lot of time in a van, traipsing up and down the motorways, and you've got to get on. If you're going to spend 7 hours in a van together, you've got to get on. But thankfully, we're really fortunate in that regard that we're, it's not just guys I play in a band with, they're best mates.
Yeah. But I mean, they're incredible musicians as well. Do you want to sort of name check the current lineup?
I will indeed. So we've got Barry Clark on bass. Barry's one of my oldest friends. We've got Mark Mitchell on guitar. We've got Big Mark, which is affectionately known, Mark Bray, on drums.
15 foot tall, isn't he?
15 foot tall. No, he's not. He's 7 foot tall, is our Mark. A gentle giant, I think it's fair to say in every sense of the word. And then we've got the showman. We've got Stuart Clyde on keyboards.
And his guitar.
And his guitar, which occasionally he's allowed to bring out.
Every opportunity that he gets a chance.
Every opportunity he gets a chance. I think he'd play the whole gig with it if he could get away with it. But as you say though, brilliant musicians in their own right.
Absolutely.
And have played in all sorts of other bands and projects along the way as well.
And you're in. You do the Made in Scotland with Mark as well, don't you?
Yeah, Mark and I do the Made in Scotland band as well, Iron Maiden tribute, which I've been doing that for a long time as well.
Yeah, is that longer than this?
Yeah, 2006. So
right.
This is my 18th year, and he still hasn't sacked me yet. So
because you were playing Forgotten Sons beforehand, which is where me and John first saw you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember it well.
That's where we first met in Glasgow.
Was that a Glasgow gig? Was that the first one?
That was the first one that me and John saw you at, and that was when Marillion were playing Marbles. And John didn't go to the Marbles gig. You were up seeing Phil Collins.
I went to see Phil Collins. Yeah, so they went to Marbles. I saw you guys in the afternoon. They went to Marbles, and I went to see Phil Collins at the SECC.
So the gig you're talking about is the night before. Then is that the one you're talking about? Yeah. So that's the one where that's where most of Marillion came along, and we got accosted by band and crew unsuspecting, playing in a small pub the night before, and they came along. Yeah, it was brilliant. It was a great blast, and they were very gracious and very kind. And Pete, Ian, and Mark got up and played with us, which was an absolute blast.
Yeah,
so that's like 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. That's terrifying, isn't it? It's absolutely terrifying when you think about it like that. But Forgotten Sons was, that was an earlier band that I was in. And Barry, who plays bass in StillMarillion, he was latterly a member of that band as well. That a very different band, although we were pretty much covering the same material. They're two very different entities, which some people don't think they were. Some people think that StillMarillion was some sort of continuation of Forgotten Sons, but that absolutely came to an end.
Yeah.
And then there was a period in between. So, yeah.
And you tour, well, you've got, obviously, you personally have got commitments with, well, maybe not obviously, I'm assuming that people know. You've got commitments as well with the Steve Rothery Band now. So you're the vocalist for Steve Rothery's band. So you tour with StillMarillion across the year, kind of around those dates, do you? Around the Rothers dates?
Pretty much. I mean, in fairness to Steve works around what I've got already in terms of commitments, because generally speaking, and I should give credit to Mark. Mark books all the StillMarillion gigs and promotes a lot of them himself as well too. So Mark's generally working probably about a year ahead in terms of booking. So when Steve has got a gap in his schedule with Marillion and decides he wants to go out and play some shows, he'll check what everybody's availability is, and then we'll work around that. So far, we've managed to kind of juggle it all and make it all work. But it's I spend a lot of my time doing what I do, but I do it purely because I love it. Simple as that.
Tracy must be very understanding.
My wife is extremely understanding and very, very supportive of what I do. But again, Tracy's a Marillion fan and was a Marillion fan before she and I got together. So she gets it. That's the thing. As a fan, she understands it and gets it, which is great.
She's lovely as well. She's chat away to her at gigs, and she's fantastic. Yeah. So
yeah, she's the best. She is the best.
So how
she needs to be put up with me.
So how did the Steve Rothery thing come about?
Okay,
is it anything to nearly destroying a ceiling in Butlins by any chance?
Well, there's a long gap between that, Craig, and then the Steve Rothery Band.
I think we should explain the Butlins thing to anybody who doesn't know.
I'll let you explain it. You probably say it better than me.
That was one of the Marillion weekends in Butlins where we had the upstairs venue, didn't we? And was it the year that downstairs was
the
country western
line dancing.
Line dancing, that's the one, yeah.
And there was it was one of the first Swap the Bands, wasn't it? And,
it was one of the early ones.
And Martin, you were singing vocals with the rest of Marillion. So was it Fugazi?
It was Fugazi.
Yeah. It was Fugazi, yeah.
Absolutely.
And the crowd were going wild, and there was a dance floor which was quite.
It's a sprung floor, yeah.
Sprung floor, yeah.
So you've got hundreds of Marillion fans jumping up and down to Fugazi, and I'm getting told to be careful because we're about to collapse the ceiling.
It was absolutely. It's legendary.
It is absolutely legendary. Brilliant.
It was absolutely brilliant. It really was.
It was one of those moments where I still look back on that and think, wow, that was absolutely incredible. The atmosphere in that room was really, something very, very special. And I think the band felt it too.
I think they were genuinely shocked.
I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. Yeah, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I think. Yeah. I mean, Pete said to me just after we played it, I mean, I'm probably paraphrasing slightly, but it was something along the lines of saying, well, I kind of thought this would go down quite well, but maybe we're just expecting that, to which I very politely pointed out to him and said, people haven't heard this played live by you guys since 1988. So, it's been quite a while. So I think that's probably why you got the massive reaction that it did. And I was very, very fortunate to play a small part in that.
And you gave it some welly, come on.
Well, like at that time you think, well, potentially they're going to get one shot at this, so I might as well give it the full beans, which well, it's one of those songs anyway. You can't do it half baked. You've got to go full tilt. It's an angry song, so you've got to give it some welly, as you said, Craig. That's the
But that's not your only time on stage at a Marillion convention, is it? By any stretch?
No, there was 2015. I think was the other one, wasn't it?
I think so. 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. That actually came about. H was the catalyst for that because so my understanding is that they were having a chat about that particular convention and swap the band, etc. And I think something came up with that conversation saying that it's essentially another gig that H pretty much plays in the afternoon. And considering he's doing 3 completely different sets at night, it's probably not great for his voice to be doing an afternoon show as well. And I believe it was H that suggested to Lucy to say, why don't you see if you can get Martin to come over and do some, you could play some older material sort of style. So that's where that came about, and I was very, very grateful to him for the opportunity. It was a great blast I think we rattled through about 4 or 5 tracks in the afternoon.
Yeah, and was that the year when you sang with Ricardo as well?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it probably was.
So, yeah. So you sang with Ricardo Romano, yeah.
But to go back to what you asked me about the Steve Rothery Band, how did that come about? When StillMarillion did the first afternoon show during the UK convention, which was 2013, believe it or not. Yeah, it's that far back.
It's all flying past it.
I know. In 2013, before we did that, and that only came about because people were messaging us and saying, "Is there any chance of you guys doing an afternoon show?" So I dropped a message to Lucy and said, "People have asked about this. How would you and the band feel about that?" Also making it clear to her that our intention would be to donate any profit that we made from the gig to charity. Because we're not there to profit from 3,500 Marillion fans being in one place. And she said, yeah, that's absolutely great. And we asked them to nominate the charity for the first one as well, which was Help for Heroes. Just that one. And Lucy said to me, she says, I'll probably get somebody from the band to come along. And Rollers was the man who came along, very kindly came along and played a couple of numbers with us in the afternoon.
And that was at the Robin, wasn't it, in Bilston?
That was the Robin, yeah. He did Chelsea Monday and Incubus.
Again,
with us,
such a great atmosphere in that gig,
Yeah, and that I never really thought anything after that. But Steve kept in touch, and later, a bit later in the year, he said he was doing a show in Holland. It was a Web Holland fan club event where he was going to be doing an exhibition of his photographs, and he was also going to be doing like a guitar clinic. But also was planning to play some songs as well, and asked and said, would I be up for coming over and doing that with him? So we went and did that, and it went well. And then, and I never really thought much more about it until he was gearing up for the release of the Ghosts Appropriate album. And again, a number of people in Scotland had got in touch with me and said, oh, do you know if Steve's planning to, play a gig in Scotland? I said, well, I don't know. I'll drop my line. And he said, yeah, I am. And we had a bit of chat about venues and what would maybe work for him and that. And then like that, he said to me, oh, if we're doing in Glasgow, will you up for getting up for coming doing a couple of numbers? And I went, yeah, absolutely. If you want to do that, that'd be great. Because I think originally the plan was that he was just going to have possibly guest vocalists at each of the UK shows anyway, as far as I was aware. And like that, I'd said to him, yeah, I'd love to do that. And after I'd sent him the message, I thought to myself, I wonder if he's actually got a singer to do the tour. Not putting myself forward for it.
No.
Thinking, oh my God, I don't want to be treading on the toes of, somebody else, having to get off stage for me to get up and do a couple of songs. So I dropped him another message and said, look, I don't want to be treading on any toes here or anything like that. And he came back and he said, well, actually, that's not how he saw it at all. And from there was a conversation from there, and he says, would you like to do the UK dates? And then literally within the space of a day, I was committed to doing the whole the whole tour. So from a very innocuous conversation about are you planning on bringing your solo band to Scotland, I ended up getting the gig without actually putting myself forward for the gig. So it was a very organic thing that happened there. But
It's
I'm
kind of
very,
snowballed,
very
hasn't it, as well?
Yeah. I remember seeing you at Manchester last year, and I was pretty close at the front, and I can't remember what song
You were. I saw you.
I know you should,
point,
yeah. If you can't see me at that distance, you're in trouble, mate.
No, I remember seeing you when I came on. I was like, "That's
It's the
John."
shiny head. I'm really sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to
Not at
blind
all.
you.
No,
Sorry.
not in the slightest. That was nice to see you.
I can't remember what you were singing. Was it a Fred song? There was something you were singing. You were really belting it out. And Rothers, I mean, A, I've never seen Rothers smile so much at a gig, but B, he looked like a really proud dad. He was so proud. What you were knocking it out the park, absolutely knocking it out the park. And he was having a great time. He really was.
Yeah, those gigs in Manchester were all the gigs that we've played in Manchester, Abandoned. Well, they've all been really special.
Yeah.
Not quite sure what it is, but it's like lightning in a bottle in that venue whenever that band plays there. Steve's never asked me to sing any of the material in any specific way, or he's very much supportive of you just do what you do, and I like what you do. So to me, that's the greatest compliment to be. And it's a great. I mean, let's be honest, it's an honour and a privilege to sing these songs. I always say that to people, and it sounds glib and it sounds cliched, but it's not. I mean, I've been living with this material for 30 odd years. It's very dear to me. So, you want to do a good job.
And you do, mate. You do.
But
again, like we're talking about, you getting on with the StillMarillion guys. The lineup for the Rothery Band. You all seem to be having a really good time.
And the thing is, that's exactly what it is. It's 100%. There's never ever, in all the time that band's been together, there's never been a raised voice or a crossword, and that is, anybody that's been in bands will tell you that is pretty rare.
Yeah.
Because there's always something that rubs somebody up the wrong way, and they don't do it intentionally, but there'll be flashpoints from time to time. But everybody just walks around with big silly grins in their faces all the time. That's genuinely that's absolutely the truth. And I think that a big part of that is because not only did Steve pick the people in his band, and obviously I was very late addition. The band was already set before I came in. Not only did he choose them because they're all fantastically gifted musicians, but I think a big part of it as well was the people, the personalities.
Yeah.
As well, because
he's been on the road for years like you. He knows how important that is that the personalities can rub along together.
100%, and it's constant laughter. I mean, it genuinely is. All we do is laugh and carry on the whole time, and the gigs are just, it's just an absolute joy to be on the stage with them, and and I've done the whole thing, and somebody will probably remind me when it was, but there's one of the gigs we played in Manchester. I think it was the first time we actually played Cayley, or that band had played Cayley, and I'm standing there, and he's playing the guitar solo, he's playing the Cayley solo, and I forgot where I was.
I was there. Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
So the solo finished, and then it's coming back in, and I'm supposed to be singing the last verse again. Completely forgot where I was. I was just standing there thinking to myself, he's absolutely nailed that solo. That was absolutely incredible. And then realised, oh God, I'm meant to be singing, and absolutely stumbled over the lyrics, and made an absolute mess of it.
Snapped into fanboy mode, didn't you?
Totally, 100%. Just forgot for a minute, and literally it was just a fan standing there and thinking, oh my God.
Yeah.
Thankfully people were kind enough to let me get over it.
It would. I mean, the StillMarillion gigs, as you've said, are a party. They're a celebration.
Totally.
And the Rothery gigs are as well, in a different kind of way.
They are.
I haven't seen the Rothery Band yet.
He will. He is. He's coming to Manchester.
I'm coming to Manchester.
I've got coming to Manchester.
We got tickets and hotel and everything booked, so he's coming to Manchester. So yes.
Brilliant. I'll speak to you off air to find out where you're staying.
Okay,
we'll maybe try and get together.
Yeah.
Possibly for a small libation somewhere along the way.
Absolutely. So
you picked a good one, Craig. If you're doing Manchester. I mean, they're all great gigs. They are. But you'll see. And John will back me up here. You'll see what it is. But
I mean, the Band on the Wall is a great venue, and now it's been fitted out. It's got aircon and everything, hasn't it? It's a nice room. It's got air conditioning.
Really nice.
Brilliant.
Really nice.
I think I've been to Band on the Wall once to see. I think Kathleen Edwards there. Who's a Canadian singer-songwriter.
How long ago was that?
I'm trying to. I think it was like about 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, it's the refits happened since then. It's a lovely space now. I mean, it was great,
really nice.
Great vibe before, but yeah, it's a lovely space now. And so how many? You've got a few weekends planned and gigs planned with the Rothery Band this year, haven't you?
Yep, there's the Glasgow weekend, which I think from memory is the first weekend in June, and then the following weekend is the Manchester weekend.
Yeah,
and then we've got we're playing the Midsummer Prog Festival in Valkenburg. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Which is in the Netherlands. We're headlining one of the nights on that, so that's going to be absolutely incredible. There's a couple other Netherlands shows. One of them's at the Boerderij, and another one which escapes me at the moment. And then we are in July. We are playing at the final night of the Prog Festival in Lorelei, which is going to
be great, won't it?
Really special, especially with it being the last one, which is sad. Yeah. It's sad that it's the last one. I'm not really sure of the reasons why it's the last one.
I think it's financial.
You guys know?
I think it's financial.
No, is it something about the license has expired or something? I think I don't know.
Right, okay.
Maybe I don't know.
Maybe the case, but that's
I've always wanted to go, but never been. It looks like a fantastic festival.
It looks exactly the same as it does on the 87 Live at Lorelei concert because it's a World Heritage site. They're not allowed to change anything about it. And that may be part of the reason why it's maybe the license is coming to an end as well. You know, so that's going to be, what an amazing experience that's going to be. And then we've got some other shows planned for later in the year. I'm not sure if they've all been announced yet. Has he announced Barcelona? Has he announced the Barcelona
one?
I think
so, yeah.
The weekend in Barcelona. There's a couple other things that are happening later in the year.
That's part of your year, but obviously...
I'm just holding a second, John. I'm just listening. I think I can hear the slight sound of Lucy's gnashing teeth. Okay.
That's nothing to do with me. I don't think anything to do with that.
It's not mine doing. He just does. If he's asked, he turns up.
I just get asked if I'm available, and if I am, I say yeah. Whatever the internal workings are of that. Yeah. I'm playing no part in that rodeo.
Keep out of that.
We'll gloss over that because we do at some point we would at some point like to get your boss up on here, but if we keep winding him up about having booked dates behind Lucy's back, that's not going to go well, is it?
He's his own man, so I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he knows his own mind, and I'm sure it's all. I'm sure it's all above board. I've no doubt.
He's essential for both bands, He'll do his bit. He'll sprinkle his magic over the album when it's ready.
Absolutely.
If he does it in the same way as he did with An Hour Before It's Dark, that's fine by me.
Oh man, he absolutely killed me with that. Absolutely killed me with that album. I don't know about you guys. You've already probably done this on air about your favourite track from An Hour Before It's Dark? I'm going to ask you.
We haven't covered the album, but we have.
Oh, okay.
But we've said our favourite track.
Favourite track, so yes, we've already said that. Mine's Sierra Leone.
Okay, and John, what were you?
Crow and the Nightingale.
Yeah, me too. Crow and the Nightingale.
Rothers just dissolve when
Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
The whole album's just a real career high point.
Yeah.
Let's not mess about. To be producing an album like that 40 years into your recording career is just unbelievable. I was listening to there's a Q&A, a Corona Diaries Q&A for subscribers gone out today, and H talks about Mike Hunter sat there. Apologies if you've not heard this yet, but no, I'm all ears.
H talks about the Mike Hunter sitting the band down and saying, "Do you really want me to produce the next album? Because if you're not all into it, then I'm okay with that." And he kind of says, "Well, nobody else could do it now. No one else could produce us, And Mike's essential for the way that it helps assemble the songs from the jams and everything.
Yeah.
But
I know. Obviously, he sits and listens to all the jams.
Yeah.
And then puts compilations together of things that you think, thinks might be, the nucleus of a good song idea, and then presents them to the band, and then they decide what they're going to work. It's a really unusual way of working, but it clearly works. Clearly works.
Yeah, I mean,
for them,
he said he basically assembled Care from the sections. Mike assembled it in its form. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think in a way, it's kind of great that he wanted to ask them, "Do you still want me to do this?" And didn't assume,
Yeah, but he's got he's clearly developed and created a really special sort of relationship and bond with them, where they trust him implicitly. And it's clearly working for them. I mean, you'll have to look at the material that's coming out to realise how good it is.
Be producing an album like that at this stage of the career is just phenomenal, isn't it?
When they released the first track, the first time I heard it, I thought, my goodness, if that's an indication of how this is going to go. When I heard Be Hard on Yourself, I thought, if this is an indication of how this album's going to go, then I think we're in for an absolute belter.
Should we talk a bit about the music then? Because you've got probably a different relationship to some of us with maybe the first 4 albums because of the amount of times you've sung them.
Possibly, yeah, I think so.
Have you got a favourite from the Fish era albums?
If someone asked me to choose a track which I think perfectly encapsulates everything that I love about Fish era Marillion, I wouldn't hesitate to say Incubus.
Really?
Because I think that track has got all of the elements, all the hallmarks, if you like, from that era, which I think represent the band in the most positive light. And I love Incubus anyway because it's it's all the light and shade and it's the drama, and then you've got that absolutely blistering solo in the middle
Mark
of it.
Absolutely nails, doesn't he? Yeah.
Well, the one thing I'll say, but I've known Mark for a long time, and Mark won't mind me saying this. Mark's background as a guitar player, he comes from a much more hard rock metal background, if you like, and the way in which he's adapted his playing style to play, he's a fan of the material anyway. But he said, when we started up, he says, I've never really played in that kind of sphere of music before. And one of the reasons he wanted to do it was because he says it'll be a challenge for me personally to actually replicate those sounds and those big signature solos. And anybody that's seen us will know, Mark doesn't take liberties with Steve's solos. He's very respectful to it. He puts his own edge on the material, which is inevitable. But he's very respectful to them. And when those big solos come along, he doesn't miss his marks. No. He doesn't miss his marks. But Incubus for me would be the track that I would say this is what Fish era Marillion is in an 8-minute track or a 9-minute track, whatever it is. But then again, Fugazi's my favourite Fish era album. So
is it okay?
Flame away.
No, it's not. It's not a popular choice, but
it wasn't. For years and years, I would have said Clutching was my favourite of the first 4 albums. And then it wasn't until I actually started playing the Fugazi stuff a lot. And then just the more we played it, I thought, man, this album's all killer.
Yeah.
All killer. And yes, I do love She Chameleon as well. I know that's no, it's all right. I've heard that episode, John. I know how you feel about it.
Well, that's I don't know. I've said all I've got to say about She Chameleon.
It is very divisive. I understand that. I actually like it. I think it's got one of Mark Kelly's most underrated keyboard solos.
It's better than Interior Lulu keyboard solo.
Yeah, what isn't?
It's more that Interior Lulu's keyboard solo seems to have been parachuted in from a different song.
Taped onto the track. Yeah.
It's a great solo, but it's just when it kicks in, it's quite a shock to the senses, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a shock to the senses.
Yeah.
But no, the more we played Fugazi, the more I'm thinking, you've got an album that's got Assassin, Jigsaw, and Incubus, and the title track on it. I mean, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong there.
No, it's a great album. I mean, I would say, I think we've talked about this, haven't we, Craig? What's your favourite from the first 4, Craig?
it goes around because between Clutching and Misplaced, and then Fugazi, and then Script's my least favourite.
Right.
But it depends on what mood I'm in with Fugazi, because I can listen to Fugazi at any point. I love it. I do.
Yeah, it's great. And what's your view on the remix, Martin? Have you?
Outstanding, isn't it?
Transformative is the only
Yeah.
word I can use to describe it. Because I think everybody, I don't think it's any great secret that the production, the original production, was a bit. It was typically of that period in the 80s. It was very, very thin
Yeah.
sounding, and probably wasn't helped by the fact that they were doing it in umpteen different studios.
Different places, all over the place,
different places. That was always the remix was the one that I was looking forward to the most of the remaster. I mean, they've all been great, but
yeah,
that was the one I was really looking for. And the first time I heard that, I thought, yeah, this is how this album, probably how the band would have envisaged hearing it back in the day, because it just lifted everything, and you heard things that you hadn't heard before. There's little nuances that were in there. I even like the what they did with the title track at the end, and just a bit of consternation as well. But
I'm the only one that does like it on the pod, but there you go.
No, I liked it as well. I thought that was quite clever, and I think, I don't know for definite, but when I listened to it, I think they may have used a couple of bits from different vocal takes on it. There was a couple of bits when I listened to the new version of it, I thought to myself, that's slightly different. So, but in a totally positive way. I mean, yeah, I love listening to that album. Absolutely love it.
I think the live album, the double live album that's with it, is an absolute corker as well.
It's a belter, but absolutely really flying on it. They're absolutely flying on it, and it's actually just, as you say, Craig, it's a great gig. It's a great set list.
Yeah.
It's a really, really, really cool set list. Yeah, I mean, I'd have loved to have seen them at that time. I think, John, you saw them Fugazi tour, didn't you?
Yeah, they were great. Saw them at Sheffield City Hall. Yeah, amazing.
But Martin, we were too young. We were far too young.
All right.
You say that, Craig, but I don't feel that way when I look in the mirror. I think, who's that old guy? Who's that old guy in the mirror? Oh, it's me. It's me.
Yeah. There's a whole raft of us about to hit 60 this year. Some of my mates have already hit 60. I'm 60, so you're better off not being this old. You really are.
It's just a number. It's literally just a number. It's I know you feel it when you get up in the morning. I know I do, because between my knees and my back and that. But
I think with 84, I think me and Martin were probably more interested in the fact that Spock was back alive in 84 than.
I can't argue with that, Craig. 100%. That was the most important thing that happened at that point in time, was that Spock was back and he was alive again. Yeah. Did you let my secret, Craig? You let my secret?
Yeah. They're all Klingons. They're all Klingons.
It's not a secret. It's not a secret.
We're big Trekkies. We don't hide it.
Not at all. No, I love it. Love it.
Getting you back to the music then. So, from the Hogarth era, have you got a particular favourite album or period?
I've got a couple for different reasons. Seasons End's an obvious one, because it's that it's that link, if you like, or the bridge between what they were previously and where they were heading to. But I've got massive love for Holidays in Eden. I absolutely love that album. And again, that's maybe not the most popular choice, because a lot of folk think, oh, it's too pop and it's too. I don't care what anybody says. I love it. You can't say an album with Splinter and Heart on it. It's a pop album, because it's not
100 Nights,
100 Nights, you can't. I get that there's a couple of songs on there where clearly, I might be speaking out of turn. I think there was the hand of the record company on the shoulder saying, we'd really like a couple of hits here. And I think there was a concentrated effort to try and produce that. But I still think even those poppier songs on it, I still think they're great songs. I mean, Dryland's an incredible song, and so's Cover My Eyes. From the later stuff, Brave, I know it's not that late. Brave I didn't get when it first came out. Played it to death for 2 weeks before the gig on the tour, which was in Glasgow. And then when I went to see it live, it clicked into place. Once I saw it live, it just all fell into place. And yeah, I mean, you've already celebrated the 30th anniversary.
I don't know if you've heard that episode, but that's kind of. There's a lot of us feel like that. We were a little bit confused when it first came out, but when you saw it live, it just hit, didn't it?
Yeah,
It was
three episodes of 3 hours of us all fanboying out.
no, and rightly so, because it's an absolute masterpiece, a dark masterpiece. That's probably the best way to describe it. From the more, if I move forward a wee bit from that, Marbles is an obvious high point for that, and I know I said about Happiness. I wasn't telling you. Sounds it can't be made. For me, I love that album. Absolutely love that album. I think there's songs on that which I'd love to hear live a little bit more often. Stuff like Pour My Love. I think Pour My Love's a great song.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Invisible Ink.
Invisible Ink. I love Invisible Ink. Yeah.
Great track.
Power's my favourite.
Power's a great track.
Yeah.
As well. And for me, that was, as I say, after Happiness, I was a little bit, I'm not quite sure, you know, where we're going. But as soon as I heard Sounds, I was like, no, that's all right. Faith restored again, you know. I just had a wobble with Happiness, I think, more than anything else.
Hey, sometimes it's where you first hear things and what's going on in your life, and you know.
I think that probably played a big part. Actually, I think that's bang on the money. Just depends on what was going on at the time, and but I mean, they're a band that just continue to surprise, and I think that's the remarkable thing. Still surprising, you know, and you never know what you're going to get, but you know it's going to be honest, and you know it's going to be it's going to be from the heart, because that's what they do.
Yeah. Well, the band are locked in the studio, with the exception of the guitarist, who occasionally is escaping on a weekend. The band are locked in the studio this year, so it's going to be the year for the tribute bands to get out there and do their stuff, isn't it? So the band aren't going to Leicester this year, but you guys are.
We are, and this was kind of probably Mark's brainchild, because he thought it would be quite nice if we played a show in Leicester this year, because we knew there's no convention, etc. That would be quite nice. What we actually wanted to do was we wanted to play two nights at the Y Theatre in Leicester, but they didn't have availability at the venue to do that. So hence why we decided to go for 2 shows in one day, which is absolute madness. But 2 completely different shows in one day as well. So we're doing an afternoon show and we're doing an evening show, and that's sold really, really well. I mean, there's still tickets available, but I think it's one of those ones, probably don't leave it to the last gasp, because I think
it's a beautiful theatre as well, isn't it? It's a
lovely venue.
Theatre. Yeah, it's really nice.
You've got our
I'll be delighted to see you there. So the afternoon we're doing a kind of best of all worlds set, but that's going to focus mainly on Season's End, probably some Holidays in Eden material in there, and some tracks from Fish's Vigil album, because I think it's fair to say most Marillion fans are familiar with Vigil. You know, I think pretty much everybody bought it at the time. And listen, that's a special album as well. You know,
absolutely.
And then at night we're going to be doing a classic Fish era set, heavy on Fugazi, given its 40th anniversary or 40th birthday, whatever you want to look at it.
40 years.
So we'll do that. So that'll be really nice. And people seem to be keen on the idea as well. You know, it's not built. It was never built and never intended to be like a convention replacement or anything like that. Not in the slightest.
Well, it's not a replacement, but it's the unofficial Marillion weekend.
It's an unofficial weekend. Well, it is now, because
Mr. Andrew Barnsley Wood, he's coined it as the unofficial.
As he named it, he's named it. That's fine. Yeah. Well, if Barnes says it must be true.
Absolutely.
You've got to take it.
Yeah, he's harassed us for a Planet Marzipan on the road as well, isn't he?
I
say, listen, you know, there's no barrier to doing these things. But
are you doing the same sort of dual set thing anywhere else? We're
going to do it in we'll be doing it in the Half Moon in Putney in November.
Yeah.
That'll be a similar situation with the 2 shows in one day, and again, that's born out of the fact that that particular venue has a policy of they won't let the same bands book 2 days in a row at the weekend. That's just a venue policy, because we looked into that before. And but what the lady there said is, don't know if you're interested, boys, but we quite often have bands on in the afternoon on a Sunday. if you really wanted to do, you could do an afternoon show and you could do an evening show. And we thought, hey, that might be a good idea. And we did it once before and it went really well. So we're doing that again. I think that's the only two where we're doing the two shows in the one day.
Yeah.
We've got a Glasgow gig in April, which will be a kind of best of all worlds type set again, which will be kind of season's end and vigil and a few other bits and bobs, possibly a couple of surprises as well. Yeah. But as I said before, John, our bread and butter is the Fish era stuff. That's what we're known for, and that's what we'll always be primarily known for. But when you've only got 4 albums and the B-sides to play with, it's a constant effort to try and keep it interesting and fresh for people, and for us.
And it would be a shame if I didn't ask Nathan Page's question about will you ever play? Is it Charting the Single?
Charting the Single. Oh, it got played last year when I wasn't there. Played in Leicester. Yeah, we had actually rehearsed it up for the Leicester shows last year. So we thought this is the time to do it. Let's tick that box and do it. But as it turns out, I wasn't there for it. But the band played it. They still played it. There is no video evidence of it, I don't think so.
Well, it didn't happen then, did it?
Maybe it never happened.
You'll have to do it this. You'll have to do it this year and put that right.
It became a running joke. The chart the single thing. It just became a joke that we're never going to play it. We're never going to play it. Nothing's off limits. That's the thing. Chart the Single is one of those odd songs though because I think it's quite divisive. I think you either love it's a Marmite song, isn't it? I think you either love it or hate it.
Yeah, I'm no musician, but I'm not sure what the rhythm that Mick Pointer is playing is, or even if it really exists.
I'll take the fifth on that one. I'm not going to incriminate myself into that.
No. I mean, as I say, that's not based on any sort of musical knowledge.
Not at all. It's a strange track, though. It's a strange track because it's very, very wordy as well. It's all clever wordplay. Yeah. I mean, all Fish's lyrics are wordy, but that one's particularly, it's all little puns and stuff like that. Clever, really clever. But, verbose, I think is the word.
That's the word, yeah, absolutely.
That's the word. It's the word of the day.
He was well known for that. And he's got better. He's got less verbose as he's gone on, I think, hasn't he? Although he's had a go on Weltschmerz, he's brought some of that back.
I suppose it was the last hurrah, though, so he probably, kitchen sink, isn't it? He's throwing everything in on it. And I've listened to, obviously, your podcast on Weltschmerz as well. It was interesting to hear the differing views on it.
Well, that's what all this is about. It's just to get folks talking about it and,
and getting them to listen again as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of listening, Weltschmerz. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's a long album.
It's a big chunk of music to get through, But yeah, it's worth it. Rewards it, I think.
I think, as I said on the pod, I find it easier to listen to on vinyl. You've got them 20-minute slabs, and you
break it down a bit.
Breaks it up nicely. Yeah. But yeah, another great record. Absolutely.
Well, if it is as he's said it to be, his final studio album, then I think he can be very proud of it. I think he can be proud of it. Garden of Remembrance is my favourite track on it.
Oh, amazing! Amazing. Yeah.
Up to you.
Him at his absolute best.
Yeah, without a doubt.
We should do a bit of time traveling thing and say your next gig. As we record, you've got 2 gigs this weekend.
We are in the Queen's Hall in Nuneaton this coming Friday, which is this Friday the 1st of March?
Yeah, it is.
Right? Have I got that right?
Yeah.
1st of March. And
my missus's birthday. Happy birthday, missus.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, missus. And on Saturday we are in
Stockton.
We're in Stockton-on-Tees, the Georgian Theatre as well. 2 lovely venues, which we played for the first time last year.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to going back to both of those as well. They're really nice places to play.
So we're coming to Stockton.
Yeah.
Yep.
So considering this episode will
be say that was really well plugged, but by the time this goes out,
but we'll just say how brilliant the gig was.
Yeah.
lovely. Yeah. We were absolutely brilliant in Stockton.
Blew the roof off.
and then we're all over the place across the rest of the year. We're in all the normal the normal haunts that you can see is we'll be back at the Clooney in Newcastle in August.
Yeah, is it the 24th or something?
24th,
Yeah.
Saturday the 24th.
To which Pam's cursing because she's away on holiday. And she missed it
Is
last
she?
year as well. Oh, I've had it in the neck.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
You can apologise
It's
to
always-
her next time you see her.
I'll make sure I do it. It's always somebody's holiday, isn't it? Or somebody's birthday.
You seem to be playing more across the summer now. So I read that Blackpool's on sale, isn't it?
Blackpool's the first weekend in August, the 3rd of August,
Yeah.
Waterloo Bar. That was played there for the first time last year. What a great gig that was. That's a cracking venue. Yeah, really nice. And the sound guy in there is a massive Marillion fan.
Okay.
Which is always nice to actually turn up and find that the sound engineer is a fan and actually understands how the material is meant to sound.
Yeah.
Because we're at the mercy of sound guys wherever we go. We don't have our own person that comes around with us. So people will say after the gigs, they'll sometimes say, "Oh yeah, guitars were too quiet or the keyboards were too loud." Or it's live music, we don't have control over what you hear out front. Try and give a bit of guidance, but you can only do what you can do. But yeah, in terms of playing during the summer, we are doing a bit more now, and that's kind of born out of necessity as well, because we're trying to do as much as we can, and obviously I've impacted on StillMarillion's availability to play a bit this year, with the stuff in June and then stuff later on in the year. So the guys have been very gracious and are working around that. So
how
really
much Made in Scotland stuff have you got this year?
There's a few. There's not loads off the top of my head. I think there's probably just now maybe about 6 or 7 shows. And again, that's born out of availability as well, because we've got guys in that band who work shifts and they're not free every weekend to play because of the jobs that they do. So we do as much. We've got our first gig of the year coming up in a couple of weeks' time in Falkirk.
Right.
Funnily enough, and for any Maiden fans, this year marks the 40th anniversary of an album called Power Slave.
Wow!
So we'll be playing a chunk of Power Slave, which is always challenging, but great fun.
Brilliant. Yeah.
But you found, I think, definitely over the last probably about 4 or 5 years, your audience has seemed to be growing exponentially with the StillMarillion.
Yeah,
it's really the amount of gigs and the places that you're getting to now, especially considering the slow start. Not say slow start, but how difficult Mark was finding it to get venues initially.
Well, believe it or not, 16 years down the line, and it's still a hard sell in some areas. Still some venues, because people contact us recommending venues all the time, and what they don't know is Mark contacts pretty much all of them to see if there's any interest. But a lot of places are still quite reticent because what we do is quite niche.
Yeah.
But we can point out to them and say, we play here and we do really well in all these venues, but you can't force someone to book you.
No.
But we've been lucky. We've been lucky because we have managed to get to new areas, and obviously we're playing. We play some shows in Germany and Holland each year as well now, which is I never thought that would happen.
They look to be big venues, don't they?
Yeah, some of them are. I mean, the biggest one that we play, which I mentioned, I played with Steve Rothery Band a few times, is the Bourderai in Zoetermeer.
Yeah.
That's a lovely thing. It's like 750 capacity, and the last time we played it, we sold it out, which is astonishing. Astonishing, because at the end of the day, we're a tribute band. But we do as much as we can. Because everybody's got real lives outside of there as well, and families and jobs and what have you. But that's the thing; everybody's committed to it, and that we want to do it as much as we possibly can. And I always ask at gigs. We played just on Saturday past. We played in Chester, played the live rooms in Chester, which was a great gig. And I asked, and I said, who's seen us before, and then asked who's seen us for the first time. And the really nice thing was, there's loads of hands went up.
Great, yeah.
And 16 years down the line, you're still reaching new people, which touches what Craig's saying there. That there's still people that are finding out about us for the first time and coming along to see us, and having a blast. And
if there's people listening to this who haven't seen the band before, I can't recommend them highly enough. It's a really good night out. It really is. As Martin says, it's about the music. It's a great chance to sing, shout at the top of your voice.
It totally is. It totally is. And And if I wasn't in the band, I'd be in the audience doing exactly that. That's the reality. And there's there's other bands out there doing it as well now. There's a few other bands that are out.
We do plan to cover some of the other bands, absolutely. And you've always been very gracious about them whenever I've spoken to you about them as well, So
Craig said it was a slow start for us. I'd say the first 4 years from when we started, it was a slog. It was really hard to gain any traction. And then round about 2012, we played a gig. Yeah, it was 2012. We played a gig in Edinburgh, and the numbers had taken a significant leap. We doubled what we had the last time we'd played in Edinburgh, and I kind of thought to myself, all right, okay, that's interesting. And that year, all the gigs started to creep up then, and we've been very, very fortunate that there's people still coming to see us yet, guys like you and all the rest of the Marillion community, which we've made tons and tons of friends through. That's the beauty of it.
And you're all really, you're all, whenever we chat to any of you give your time and chat, and you're all really personable. It's great.
Well, that's the thing. Your time costs nothing. It absolutely costs nothing, and we always make an effort to come out and have a chat after gigs and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm not going to lie. Sometimes you're a bit knackered after doing 2.5 hours, and all you want is a shower and a sit down. But it can be, if someone goes away from one of your gigs and they say, I went to see that band, enjoyed the band, but you know what? I spoke to one of the guys after it as well, and they're a nice bunch of lads as well. Well, you can't, there's no better publicity than that, is there? There's no such thing as, bad PR with stuff like that. And yourself, as well enough, what you see is what you get with us. That's just the way we are.
Yeah.
And I think as well, the way that, not to be morose or anything like that, but with Fish retiring in this next year, and Marillion can only do so much, I think you are going to come into time where the people are going to rely on the tribute acts more for getting a Marillion fix or a Fish fix in the live.
You think so? Do you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the demand's definitely going to be there, because people are still going to want to hear the songs live still, no matter what. And
if that's the way that it pans out, then that's great. As I say, the intention was never to step on either Fish or Marillion's toes, and certainly, that I hope that's what comes across. But if by Fish retiring, if it does mean that some people come along that maybe wouldn't have come to see us before, if they decide that they come along because they want to hear that material, then that's great. As I say, there's no losers in this situation. I always think to myself, people can only get something positive out of it, I hope.
Yeah, and it keeps the music alive, and it keeps it alive in a live atmosphere and everything as well. And that's where it takes life. It's.
I don't know if I've said to you guys before that when we started StillMarillion, the dream was to have 6 gigs a year. If we could have had 6 half decent gigs a year, we thought wouldn't that be brilliant, And I'm bowled over by, the way things have panned out for us. And I know I've said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Mark has to take a huge amount of credit for all the work that he does in the background and continues to do to keep all the wheels turning. Everybody contributes in different ways as well. I'm not saying that, but without his endeavours, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah.
Kudos where it's due.
And when Fish retires, there's always scope for a Fish tribute, isn't there? You could learn a quick version of Plague of Ghosts, couldn't you? You could throw that into Leicester.
Or the Bon Tempi.
You know what? I would absolutely love a crack at Plague of Ghosts. That would be, that's maybe one for somewhere down the line.
There you go. That's a challenge then.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Well, if you can manage to put together Misplaced Childhood and play 40 minutes of, without any breaks as such. Then Plague of Ghosts is what? It's only about half of that, isn't it?
Yeah, 25 minutes. So there you
25 minutes. That's easy. That's easy.
In your sleep.
famous last words. I'm going to be hung out to dry with that one.
Yeah, just do it. I'll tell you what, man. Just do a bit of Chocolate Frogs in Leicester. Just a bit.
Chocolate Frogs.
Yeah.
A heat for a Chocolate Frogs.
Yeah.
I love that section. I think it's obviously it's very, very, Scottish Celtic kind of sound.
Yeah.
It's really atmospheric on the record. That whole I mean, the whole Plague of Ghosts thing's absolutely brilliant anyway. But Rain Gods is an odd album, that isn't it? Because it's really a game of two halves. It
is. As we talked about
last
Yeah.
episode,
Yeah,
which
which I listened to,
You
which
have-
I've listened to. I have listened to. Yeah. I'm catching up as quickly as I possibly can.
look,
Sometimes life gets in the way.
Oh yeah,
hey,
do it.
it's Look, Mike, we've loved talking to you tonight. It's been great, and we can't recommend StillMarillion gigs highly enough.
You're very
Or
kind.
Brothers
Thank
Band
you, guys.
gig, it's a great time, and you get to see your Marillion friends as well if you've got friends who are still in the fandom.
That's the one thing that we didn't touch on, John, and that's the thing is that people use our gigs as well as a way of making them social events where they get to catch up with people that they haven't seen for ages, and that's a nice byproduct of it. That's and it's this for us as well because we get to see people that we don't see all the time like yourselves and loads of others as well. It's been an absolute privilege to come on and chat with you. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Okay. And I don't think I've actually yet been to a StillMarillion gig where I haven't been in the front row.
I'm sorry about that. I have
So I
spoken.
can apologise now.
I'm going to say you are hardcore, Craig. 100% hardcore. Don't ever change either of these. And,
you know we love you.
Listen, and more power to your elbow with doing this because this is absolutely brilliant. I've enjoyed every single one that I've listened to, and I hope you continue doing them for a really long time because they're an absolute blast to listen to.
Well, yeah, we will. We'll as long as people want to listen to it, we'll talk bullshit like this, But it's
I've certainly given you plenty of that to go on. So
no, mate, no, you've been fantastic, and I hope people who haven't seen the band. What's the website?
It is StillMarillion.com.
Okay. All the gigs are listed on there.
They're all on there. They're all on They're all on the Facebook page as well. All the confirmed gigs are on there. There's one post that's got them all on there as well. So, and if anybody's ever in any doubt or anything like that, they can always you can drop us a message either at the StillMarillion page or they can drop me a message and I'll get back to them as well.
And we will see you down the front.
I will see you down the front. It'll be a pleasure to see you as always.
Martin, thanks a lot for coming on the pod.
Cheers, mate.
You're a fantastic
Thanks for having us, guys.
It's been great to speak to you, and you're welcome back anytime.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
All right, well, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
And it's good night from Martin.
Good night.
Take care.
And stay alive.
Beautiful.
Yay! Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot or fishmusic.eu.